All I can say is heed our warning. Don't make the same mistake that lots of other people have done before coming to us. If I could give you one piece of advice, it would be skip that part of the journey because it's not fun.
And there's quite a lot of tales actually about people that start Facebook ad campaigns for dropshipping products. Perhaps they've been dropshipping from China, from AliExpress, and that can lead to a lot of disappointment. So I guess you've probably come across those tales and stories as well of people that start with Facebook ads and try the AliExpress dropshipping model.
Yeah, it's a story that we hear time and time again, all too frequently, and it's really frustrating for us to hear because we think, we could have avoided you that pain, that costly mistake. Maybe you didn't find us early enough in your journey, and that's okay. Sometimes you just have to learn from your own mistakes before you need to know what to search for. But also for the people, it's just frustrating for them, right? Because it can make people feel disenfranchised about the whole model itself. So I think, meta ads, as they're now called. So when I say that, I'm referring to obviously Facebook and Instagram ads as a whole. They can really drain your budget quickly if you don't know what you're doing. And if you're banking on them being the answer to potentially a shaky foundation of a product that maybe isn't that in demand or isn't going to be that profitable, or your conversion rate on your website has not really been optimized, or your website's not been optimized for a high conversion rate, it can become problematic. And it's a bit like, when you if you see like a show on Netflix and you see the thumbnail and you think, that looks good, I'll give it a try, or a movie or something, and you start watching it and you're like, I feel like I've been duped here. Like the thumbnail was really good, but the show is very disappointing. And like, it's like that when you see this shiny new course out there teaching you how to make millions with dropshipping, and it's like laptop independent lifestyle, and all you need to do is throw up a load of TikTok ads, find products on AliExpress, and then ship them to your customers. And you kind of think, this isn't the business that I thought I was signing up for here. And you realize you're not enjoying it. It's like the show, you're still watching it on Netflix, but it's that sunk cost bias where you're halfway into it and you think, do I give up now and just start a different show? But you're kind of halfway into it, so you're not really sure. That's the thing. Like, we work with a lot of people who've signed up to other courses that are teaching this shiny new e-commerce business model. But then once they're in, they realize that it's a flawed model and that it's just reliant on the TikTok or Facebook ads or influencer shout outs, you name it. Whatever the marketing strategy is, it's usually selling cheap, low quality widgets where there's hardly any profit, and it's just a bit of a miserable experience, even if you get it working, which is difficult to do. But we've had people saying, I'm making loads of profit, I just hate opening my laptop every morning because it's full of customer complaints in the inbox, and I really don't want to stand behind a brand like this. Or perhaps they've joined a program that does teach a high ticket model, but they've realized that the person leading the program has no idea about the UK market or how things work in the environment where they're based. We see a lot of these programs saying, it's a globally generic model, but we'll just kind of tack on a UK element to it and, you'll be good to go. And I think it's a bit of an afterthought, and you start to realize that it all becomes unraveled when you realize that the founders don't really understand how the UK market operates. So don't be fooled by it. If you're surrounded by people operating in a totally different country to you, there will be no one for you to turn to when you need it most. They'll happily sell you into it, but you're going to be operating in a market with different laws, different business taxes, different legislation, different e-commerce rules, different ways of talking to suppliers. Your supplier script will need to be different company structures. The list goes on. There are huge differences. And one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen that I wish that we could just help people avoid is that they join a cheap course because they think, I'll wing it. This will do. I'll kind of find the way. And then they find out the hard way that buy cheap means buy twice, and they pay for a course that's run by people who have no idea how things work in the UK market. Instead of just investing into tailored mentorship right from the outset that could help them avoid all of those costly mistakes right from the beginning, this eventually costs our members thousands, both in wasted cash because they obviously spend the money, but then they also end up, we speak to them 6 months later when they've wasted 6 months of their journey following a module or a model that was flawed. So if this podcast has reached you now, if you're listening to this now and you're in the position of considering doing that, all I can say is heed our warning. Don't make the same mistake that lots of other people have done before coming to us. If I could give you one piece of advice, it would be skip that part of the journey because it's not fun. Jump straight into the tailored solution that will save you a lot of time and money. And by the way, if you'd like to delve deeper into how that works, the Dropship Unlocked podcast, episode number 25, could be just what you need to hear after this one. It's titled What Dropshipping Gurus Won't Tell You, and it goes in depth about this.
And I wish I'd heeded your warning a little bit earlier, Lewis, because I went straight down that path of trying to learn from YouTube videos. And of course, if you try and do things the quick way or the cheap way or the way that looks the most obvious initially, it just leads to more wasted cash because you're just trying to make it work for yourself. And instead, you get around training, but also the thing about Dropship Unlocked that really helped me was getting around the community and having people around you. So if you're concerned about making mistakes, well, all you need to do is drop a quick message into that community and people will tell you how they've overcome that mistake before or how to avoid it happening in the first place. Prevention is going to be better than cure. So if you can preempt these things and not even go down the road of making the mistakes that I had to make before I started a dropshipping business, you'll be so much better off, both financially and emotionally. So something that people can get into trouble with potentially with a dropshipping business is cash flow. So let's talk a little bit about how cash flow can be a real issue for some business people. And if they don't understand how to manage their cash flow successfully, then I think you'll agree, Lewis, it really can lead people down into some big troubles for their business.
Yeah, definitely. You're spot on with the cash flow being a big challenge or a potential pitfall. It's easy for newcomers to get a little bit overexcited, a little bit overzealous with their marketing spend when they first beginning. And by the way, I fell into this trap, so I'm speaking from personal experience. This isn't me pointing the finger. I'm saying I've done this, so please, again, heed my warning if you can, because it's strange. Like, it's not really like anything else in life or in business. You figure this way where, I spend money on ads and now I start seeing sales come in. So you're like, okay, well, I'll just do more of this then. I'll just spend more on ads and then I'll just get more sales. But the trouble with that is if you aren't measuring your profitability per sale from the outset, it's kind of like running a marathon, but not pacing yourself. It's like starting a marathon and you just sprint as fast as you can because you're like, okay, well, more of that then. Obviously, you can only sprint for so long and probably not the duration of a marathon, right? So it seems obvious because you might just be thinking, well, of course you need to manage your profitability. And it is obvious when you're making 1 or 2 sales per day, right? When you see the sale come in for £1,000 and you're like, okay, yep, we made £300. We spent £50 on ads. Fine. Okay. We made £200 in profit, whatever. But what about when you start making 20 or 30 sales per week and you step back from the business and you've automated the process and you're not part of it anymore because the VA can run it and you are now on holiday with your family? What happens if you aren't regularly reviewing your marketing spend? Or if, an ad or a product isn't providing a high enough return on ad spend or ROAS? It's easy, if unregulated or unchecked, for that ad to continue to spend and that product to continue to waste marketing spend unnoticed. And suddenly it's at break even, where it's only generating you as much in profit as you spent on ads to acquire the sale, right? There's no point running a business like that. But what's even worse is it can actually dip into loss making. And it can now be costing you more to acquire that. For whatever reason, maybe the conversion rate on that product has dipped dramatically because there's a competitor out there who's now selling it at half the price, or something's happened and you took your eye off the ball. Don't throw good money after bad, as they say. More ad spend won't fix that problem. You can just pour money on it and say, I'm just going to spend my way out of this problem. And that's where you can get into trouble really quickly, right? So sometimes it's a conversion rate issue. And we're kind of thinking, well, why aren't we able to acquire customers at a lower cost per sale? But maybe it's a case of, well, we need better margins from our suppliers. We typically aim for 30% margins from our suppliers, meaning that if you say you sell a product that's £1,600, right? So a high ticket product, kind of mid-range, good quality product, a 30% margin on that means a £480 profit per sale. Okay, one single sale nets you £480. Now, if you can acquire that sale at, say, £50 in ad spend, which is a decent amount, that still leaves you with £430 in net profit. Okay, on a single sale, £430 net profit. 2 or 3 of those sales per day, right? Imagine you get to your business to the point where you're making 2 or 3 of those per day for 365 days a year. That will make you just under £500,000 in profit per year after ad spend. So when people say, well, what's the profit like in this business? It can be incredible, but only if you're making sure you keep a very close eye on that profitability from the outset. So again, sounds obvious, and maybe it is obvious, but don't take the risk of assuming that it's obvious. Make sure you keep track of it because that can get you into difficulty. Always have that financial safety net there. Take money off the table if you can, put it away for a rainy day, have some good solid business operating cost savings, and just know your numbers. We give you our UK specific profit tracker right from the outset. So you can calculate the VAT, the profit, the money to set aside even for your corporation tax and your VAT bill each quarter or each year, so that right from the outset, you have everything you need set up from a cash flow perspective to set you up for success in the long run.